Welcome to today's Garage Devotional. I'm Pastor Ted from Connect Church. I hope your day is going well. I want to share a devotional this afternoon called A Holy Aspiration. It comes out of my devotional reading this morning. I was reading a quote from Dietrich Bonhoeffer. He's one of my favorite theologians. And I'm just starting through this devotional book that every day it has quotes and sayings and teachings of Bonhoeffer. And he was talking about this morning about this idea of putting our neighbors before ourselves. And it's been kicking around in my mind all day, so that's why I'm kind of tying it together with this devotion today, this garage devotional about a holy aspiration. When I think of aspiration, I think about something that I want to achieve, something I want to become, something I want to rise to or move forward in, and there's nothing wrong with that as an aspiration, but aspirations can be good, or they could be bad, or they could be holy. So we have to think about what type of aspiration do I have? I would like to say that I aspire to be like Jesus, and I do. I really do want to aspire to be like Jesus. But I begin to think about that today, and I begin to think it might be better that I aspire to be the person that Jesus is calling me to be and created me to be. I think it's better for me to aspire to be the person that Jesus is calling me to be and created me to be, because I can't be Jesus. Nor does Jesus want me to say he wants me to be him. No, he wants me to be the person he's created and called me to be, created in the image of God. And so I want to aspire to that. And part of me being that person that I want to aspire to be, that I believe Jesus wants me to be, involves preferring others before myself, preferring others before us. I think that is involved in being the person that Jesus wants us to be. The challenge is that we struggle with our own fallen nature, and we live in a fallen culture, and we struggle with that culture that is been pushed into our lives. It's a fallen culture, and tells us that we need to rise to the top and get everything that we want at the expense of others even. But that's not the aspiration. That's not a holy aspiration. A holy aspiration is to be the person that Jesus has created you and called you and I to be. And part of that is preferring others first. How many of us remember or heard the commercial tagline, this tagline, "You can have it your way"? It's all about a hamburger. You can have it your way. So you need to come to this hamburger place because only here you could have it your way. And we began to build a whole culture, although it was already there, but that tagline is that's what we're to do in our life. We need to have it our way. We need to get everything that we think we deserve. Oh, that's not the person that Jesus wants us to be. That's not the culture that he wants us to aspire to. That's not the holy aspiration that he wants us to achieve in our lives. Paul the Apostle reminds us of some things in Philippians 2, verses 3 through 4. Let me read it to you. "Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant." Count others more significant than ourselves. It goes on to say, "Let each of you look not only to his own interest, but to the interest of others." He says, don't just look to your own interest, but to the interest of others. And he says that we are to put others first. Jesus tells us, "And whoever would be first among you must be your slave. Even as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and give his life a ransom for many." Jesus said he came not to serve, not to lord it over, but he came not to be served, and not to lord it over, but he came to serve others and put them first to such a degree that he gives his life for us, that we might have new life. He puts us first. Let me finish up with just a few thoughts. First one is striving to put others first, to give them preference, is a holy aspiration that is birthed in God and His Word. So when we strive to put others first, to prefer others, we need to understand that is a holy aspiration that is birthed directly out of God and His Word. God so loved the world that what? He gave. And Jesus so loved the world that He took on humanity and became the servant of all. That's what we need to strive for, is become the servant of others, preferring others first, doing those things that would lift them up. Second, when we prefer others before ourselves, we lift them up so they can rise up. Let me say that again. Second, when we prefer others before ourselves, we lift them up so that they could rise up. Maybe that rising up is becoming them becoming a better person, a person with more love and kindness. Maybe that rising up is them becoming a Christ follower. But however it is, that as we prefer others before ourselves, we lift them up so that they could rise up. Thirdly, becoming a servant of all empowers others and ourselves. Becoming a servant of all empowers us and others. So we need to understand that. Not a power to lord it over or to berate people or beat people. No, it becomes this power to live out more of a loving life and a caring life and a compassionate life. It lifts us up to be able to overcome more obstacles. So as we become a servant, we empower others to rise up as we serve them, and it empowers us. Lastly, God's love does not call us to have our way. Rather, it calls us back to the image of God, to the image of God, of the God-man Jesus on the cross, the pure image of love. So when we prefer others, what it does is that it's God's love calling through us, and forming us into the image of God, and becoming the image of the God-man, which was Jesus, becoming part of His image, that Jesus on the cross, that pure image of Jesus' love on the cross as He went and He gave His life. So as we prefer others, as we put others first, as we look to our neighbors and prefer them and put them first, as we look to our enemies and prefer them and put them first, what do we see? We see ourselves becoming more of the person that Jesus called us and created to be. And that person that we are created and called to be looks very similar to the image of Jesus. So let's try to aspire to this holy aspiration of just becoming the man, the woman that Jesus called you to be. And let's begin doing it through preferring others before ourselves. Enjoyed being with you today. The Lord bless you. We'll see you next week.